Okay, so as someone who is a very strong vampire hater, I absolutely loved Abigail. Yes, admittedly, vampires are like my least favorite thing about paranormal stuff. I've talked about it a little bit in my Bride book review on my book channel. If you haven't looked at that channel yet, I would ask that you do so. But when I saw the trailer for Abigail, I was pretty intrigued by it. Now, admittedly, a large part of that is because Melissa Barrera and Kathryn Newton are both in this film, and I really like Melissa. I really liked her character in Scream 5 and 6, and since she is no longer a part of Scream 7, I wanted to support her in this movie as well. So Abigail is a horror comedy, which obviously means that it's more of a fun movie, and yeah, it's got horror elements, but it's not like watching Halloween or something, you know? Melissa plays Joey, and she is part of this group of criminals. You could say that. You've got hackers and muscle men and the leader and the driver, and they do crimes for money, lots of money. And this time they've got to kidnap a 12-year-old little girl. And as it turns out, you've noticed this in the trailer if you've seen it, that 12-year-old girl is actually a vampire. They get locked up in the house that they put her in, and they basically gotta survive this girl for the day until there's none left. What? Of course there's blood and there's gore, and one thing I noticed right off the bat is it seemed very reminiscent of Ready or Not. If you've seen Ready or Not, there's a lot of characters that blow up, and it was so similar. It also seemed very Scream coded. Come to find out, the directors and the writers of Scream 5, 6, and Ready or Not directed and wrote this movie. And in fact, I believe maybe it's both the director and the screenwriter, I would have to double check. They were involved in Ready or Not and those two Scream movies. Anyway, so it all comes together, and you notice this pretty well if you've seen those movies, but I didn't know for sure until I looked it up after the movie. The comedy's there. I laughed quite a bit. There's a lot of liners in there, the bickering between the characters because most of them can't stand each other. That's my type of humor. Some bits weren't that funny to me, and there were moments where I felt like it was just going a bit slow, just the story generally. Kathryn Newton, who plays Sammy the hacker, was a nice addition to it. There was something about the fact that like her facial expressions didn't match up with her lines. It almost seemed like her voice very much matched the emotions that we wanted from her lines, but her face was kind of blank in comparison. She shows some emotions, especially when she gets scared and things like that, but it's not as dramatic as the guy who plays Peter would be, I would say. And honestly, I think it really worked in this type of like cheesy, campy horror comedy movie. Alicia Ware, who plays the vampire in this, was my favorite part of it. You would think Melissa Barrera is gonna be my favorite part of it, but Alicia was. And she's the vampire. Remember, I don't really care for vampires all that often. But this girl, you see this in the trailer, okay? She's locked up. They get her down for a little bit. They locked her up so they can figure out how they're gonna deal with her. And Joey says something, she says, "Cut the shit," because I can't believe I forgot the girl's name, the character's name, because Abigail is, you know, pulling the 12-year-old type of card where she's scared and things like that, but she's not really a scared 12-year-old girl. I don't know how old she is in vampire years, but she's trying to get them to feel sorry for her, but Joey tells her to cut the shit, and that smirk that she does, she just goes from, you know, scared little girl type to that smirk that was just so perfect to me. And then the monologue that she's doing, because she knows who everybody is and their backstories, because you know in these types of movies the criminals, and they all have backstories and stuff, and when she goes through this monologue of telling everybody who they are, their backstory in front of all these people, they're not supposed to share backstories, it kind of put chills down my spine a little bit because it's so good. You know, I feel like a lot of times we give like child actors a little bit of leeway when it comes to some acting and like serious moments because they are children. You know, I mean, granted, we've got some child actors that are really, really good at being extremely emotional and it works so well. But if maybe there's a moment where it's not quite hitting off, we're like, yeah, it's fine. Or like 12, you know, like, are we really gonna sit here and do a whole essay on bad acting for against a 12-year-old? No. I'm not. But Alicia here knows what the hell she's doing. I don't know anything else that she's been in. This is the first time I'm seeing her, the first time I'm hearing about her, but damn. I laughed a lot. The person I saw the movie with laughed a lot, and I gave it 5 stars actually. I was kind of leaning towards a lot of the movie between like 3.5 and a 4, but you know what? I put it to 5, and I'm trying to remember what I gave Megan. This reminded me of Megan. Like, if you made this like a franchise, or not a franchise, what's the word that I'm kind of looking for? I guess anthology? Like, in my head, I'm thinking about how that video game series, the Dark Pictures Anthology, they have that same type of feel of what they're going for, but there's different characters and different stories. In my opinion, you could almost fit Abigail and Megan like that together. I was just talking with a friend about how, what if, well, he brought it up first. What if we put Abigail and Megan together, almost like a Freddy versus Jason type? I said that part specifically. Because, you know, Abigail twirling around and stuff like that, I almost felt like I was watching Megan again, but I think this is much better than Megan. I feel like I gave Megan maybe also 5 stars. I think it was at least a 4. But there was still something that I felt was missing from Megan, and I think whatever it was that was missing, I got it from Abigail. I think I just like the actors more, the overall feel, and the plot better than Evil Dancing Doll. Like, Megan was funny. It had some funny moments, but it just worked out better in Abigail. One thing I'm disappointed by, and this is my fault, I didn't realize there was a post-credit scene for Angus Cloud because he did pass away during the strike last year, and so I'm guessing they have maybe more plans to film him, but because he passed away before the actor strike was over and before they resumed filming, it just didn't work that way, and his character does get killed off. And my guess is maybe they had to work that in, because when you see him, he has no head. And you just could have used any body double for that type of thing, or like, well, in that type of thing, you could just take a mannequin or a dummy and put the clothes on it. But I feel like he probably had more to his role, especially with whatever that end scene was, the end credit scene. But because of what happened, because he passed away, they had to do something else. Okay, so I'm reading about it a little bit, and it looks like there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that they put together, which I think is really nice. I feel like I should go back to watch the movie so I can see it, because I also wouldn't mind going back to see it again. I thought it was that good. Took a minute to get picked up, you know, in the story, but good enough for me to go back and watch it again, even paying for like a movie ticket. Or maybe there isn't one, because now I see another article that talks about how there isn't a post-credit scene with him. I did see the In Loving Memory part in the credits, like before they start, but I read somewhere that there was like a whole extra scene or behind the scenes stuff. Can someone who has seen the movie in theaters confirm in the comments, please? Anyhow, yeah, overall very good movie. Melissa played a great lead, and her fellow co-star, who is also a lead, I don't remember his name, but he's a bit of a butthead in the movie, as you can imagine, because typically you're gonna have that butthead on the team that likes to go against everything that the new leader is supposed to, or is recommending. Or actually, who was the main leader guy? Because, I don't know. Was Joey the leader of a group? Who knows? I'd have to go back and watch it. Effects were good. Directing, in my opinion, was good. I liked Ready or Not. I liked Scream 6 a lot. Scream 5 was not my favorite. But the other 2 films I really liked, and I liked seeing that again. It was really cool to see something that I can recognize from the start when I'm watching a film, because somehow I'm kind of terrible at recognizing, like, because I don't know people by their names a whole lot. So you can see in the beginning credits where they say directed by so and so, and I'm just like, I don't know who that is. But then as I'm watching, I'm like, this is almost exactly like. So I was a little bit proud of myself for that. If you like those movies, I think you're gonna like this. Yes, it's a bit cringy. It's a comedy horror film. You're gonna get some feel-good stuff at the end. It happens, but the movie's aware of that. They did it on purpose, and it's not the type of bad, cheesy cringe that makes you have like secondhand embarrassment. I thought it was pretty sweet. It's not too over the top. Yeah, if you've seen Abigail, let me know what you thought of it down below. I may or may not have a write-up on Patreon for this, and with that being said, if you would like to support the work that I do and get more movie reviews, book reviews, other types of content, consider being a member of my Patreon. Movie reviews come at $5 a month, but for $1 a month you can get a lot of updates as well, so consider that, and I thank you in advance. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe because I want to get back into doing movie reviews again. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I very much appreciate it, and I will see you later.